All right. I hope this is working. I've been trying to get the streaming working here for a while today. I haven't used the simulator in a little bit. And when you don't use it for a while, it seems there's a million little things that have changed or been updated or gone wrong. So hopefully today we've got some of those kinks out. We are in VR. We're going to be on PilotEdge here in a second. In fact, I think I will connect to that now. And the intention
Connected to PilotEdge
is going to be to make a VFR flight from Salt Lake City to Wayne Wonderland, which is 38U on the charts. And just to get a little simulation time in. I haven't had a lot recently. We're streaming. I've moved the live chat up here to where the XPad can go. And we're in the V-Flight SR20, which is a reasonable simulation of the SR20 I fly in the world, although I fly a version with the Avidyne avionics rather than the perspective system. Good evening, Adam. I'm well. I'm fine, thanks. I hope you're well too. We'll go ahead and get our startup ready to go here. Prime it first. I'm going to switch to boost. And she fires right up. Wow, a motion simulator. That is amazing. Hey, James, no worries. Stay around as long as you can. Hello, Christian. Yep, we're in the Cirrus today. That engine noise is plenty loud. If it's too loud for you guys to hear me over it, let me know. I'm using the new Oculus Rift S, which I like quite a bit. Still getting used to this perspective simulation. Okay, let's check the chat real quick. Well, I'd love to see it, Adam. If you go to the website and post some of that, I'd love to see it. Christian, I am at your home airport, Salt Lake City. I grew up in Salt Lake City, actually, so that's, in some ways, I think of it as my home airport also. Okay, ATIS 124.75. Still getting used to this system. I'd love to have a decent Avidyne simulation in here, but it's just not in the cards.
The International Airport. ATIS information Juliet. 1754 Zulu. Wind 180 at 12. Visibility 10. Few clouds at 16,000. Few clouds at 23,000.
We won't be going that high.
Temperature 33. Dew point 5. Altimeter 29 Arriving and departing runways 16 left. 16 right. 17. Visual approaches in use. Simultaneous approaches to parallel runways in use. VFR departures, contact clearance delivery.
How does it compare to the normal Rift?
Heading, altitude, and if flight following is requested.
Let me just get the...
Read back all runway assignments and hold short instructions. Advise on initial contact. You have information, Juliet.
Okay, Juliet. I think the Rift S is a big improvement, at least it is for me. I find it a lot easier to read what I'm trying to read. I don't have to run super sampling as high. The screen door effect isn't as bad. I'm really glad that I made the change. I found the software a bit buggier. Well, I'd love to see your sims, guys. If you go to ontheglideslope.net, the forums there, you can post pictures or email them to me. My address is there. I'd love to see your work. Okay, let's switch over to clearance. What's the clearance? It's 127.3. Where are we? Salt Lake City. I'm gonna get a squawk code. I guess I better be ready to write this stuff down. I'll grab my phone. I can type it into my phone. Yeah. There's a little scratch pad in this, but I find it doesn't work very well. I wasn't quite prepared for this part. I usually have a kneeboard with me, and let me see if I've got a pen here. I can just write this stuff down. Batteries, I've got papers. Nope, gonna have to just do it the old-fashioned way. I can do it for flight with my finger on my iPhone. Because they will be giving me a scratch pad, or a clearance. Let's see. Thanks, I'm glad you like the channel. I'm not on it very much anymore, but I'm glad that you like it. There's nothing more fun than being able to simulate stuff and have it work reasonably well and educate yourself while you're doing it. I think it's a really great thing. Okay, I found a place where I can type this stuff in. Alright, so clearance 127.3, 127.3. Let's be ready to go here. What do we have? Juliet, right? Solid clearance, Cirrus 15 Juliet Golf has Juliet. We're IFR to John Wayne 38 uniform. To Wayne Wonderland 38 uniform.
Okay, 15 Juliet Golf. I got no flight plan for you.
We're VFR. I'm just calling clearance for the Bravo departure.
I'm sorry, you said IFR. What was your direction of flight?
We are VFR. We are southbound, and we're VFR to 38U, 38 uniform.
Air 15 Juliet Golf, Salt Lake City, clearance. Cleared out of Salt Lake Bravo airspace. Proceed southbound over I-15 at 6,000, correction, 5,500 until advised. Departure frequency 128.1, squawk 7322.
Okay, we'll follow I-15 southbound, 5,500 until advised, 128.1 and squawk 7322 for 15 Juliet Golf.
Air 15 Juliet Golf, thanks, your back is correct.
Okay. This is the V-Flight Cirrus SR-20 is what this is. Okay, so we want to squawk. Put in a code. What did he tell us? He told us 7322. Right? Yep, 7322. Okay, we've got our... Let's make sure that we're squawking altitude. And we are. Yeah, and I like this V-Flight a lot. It flies very close to the actual numbers of the real airplane. It's a good simulation from an aerodynamic standpoint. Can we get an outside view before we go? I'll look around some, but I'll look out the window and stuff on departure, but I've got myself situated just where I want to be in terms of cockpit and where I'm able to reach things, so I'm hesitant to jump out and jump back in right now. We're going to fly to Wayne Wonderland, which is about an hour south of here outside of Capitol Reef National Park in Utah. I prefer VFR for the immersion. I prefer the physical cockpit for practicing real-world IFR procedures. Okay, we've got Juliet. Now we want to have ground. We're going to be going on 3.5 or 1.7, so that's 121.9. And then after that, we're going to have tower on 118.3, which I should know off the top of my head by now. So let's be ready for that. Okay, quick flow. We've got everything checked off here the way we would want it. We're squawking the right code. We're going to fly 5,500. We can go ahead and get that set. And I'm afraid what has been happening has just started happening, which has been X-Plane in this version works great to a certain point. And then I find it loads my graphics card up to 100% and throttles it. And I can't figure out why. And it looks like it's starting to do that now. We'll see if it gets better when I'm out of Salt Lake City. But it's a really strange thing. I don't know if it's a memory leak, but I don't know if you guys can tell, but the frame rates have just cratered all of a sudden. And I don't know why it happens. And it makes it really difficult to fly. I mean, my current frame rates now are 20 maybe. And it's got to be some memory leak, some problem. It doesn't seem to make much of a difference if I crank my anti-aliasing down to nothing. Doesn't really make a difference. Hello, Ian. Good to see you. Well, Dan, the thing about the VR is that it's in 3D and you can simulate real aircraft in a much more realistic way. Yes, I've been to Denver before. Yeah, especially, I mean, the sense of immersion is so much higher. So yeah, I don't know what it is. It's like X-Plane runs great for a period of time, and then it just craters on me. So we'll see if I can get out of here reasonably well. If it's too stuttery and just is unpalatable for me, then we'll ditch it. But we'll try. We'll go ahead and we'll ask for taxi here. Just make sure we're switched over on ground. 121.9, yep, and tower 118.3.
4827 Lima, Seattle Center, North Bend, altimeter 3010.
Presume we've done our run up. Salt Lake Ground, Cirrus 1815 Juliet Golf is at the Jet Center, and we're ready for taxi VFR South.
And 15 Juliet Golf, Salt Lake Ground, runway 17, taxi via Kilo.
Runway 75 Kilo, 184 Juliet. I'm going to be driving you nuts, Marcus, all day because I'm flying 184 Papa Golf in the real world.
So do I get to charge you extra every time you call yourself something wrong?
You get a beer every time. I'm already up to 3.
That sounds like a deal.
15 Juliet Golf, 75 Kilo. So I've turned the anti-aliasing all the way down. It's making the frames at least flyable. We'll see how long I can take it. It looks terrible through my headset. But we'll see how it goes.
And 157 Juliet Tango, contact Salt Lake Center 125.57.
I'm using a 1080 Ti, and it works great. It's plenty to push this. It's not the card. It's something in this current X-Plane version. And I'm not using beta whatever of 3.5, but, and it's not on every flight, but for some reason, a little while in, I need to adjust the sensitivity on these rudders. For whatever reason, sometimes it doesn't happen at all, sometimes it happens after an hour, sometimes it happens after 15 minutes. It suddenly spikes the GPU to 100% and it throttles it. And it's absolutely X-Plane, because as soon as X-Plane quits, it stops.
157 Julia Tango, Salt
So
Lake
I'm not
Center,
sure
good
what the deal
afternoon.
is.
Price altimeter 3008.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad the stream's looking okay. I mean, it's pretty jaggy to me out of my window here, the virtual window. Should ask for a midfield departure. Whoa. So basically we're going to fly I-15 and just take it southbound quite a bit. I'm not going to fly direct most likely. It's only an hour. And I'll probably not go directly over the mountains. Okay, so we've got a couple drop frames. That's also probably because I have some children at home from school on summer break, and I guarantee you they are, at least one of them is on the internet in some way at the moment. So sometimes that hits my streaming ability. I'm also going to try to move my head around a bit more cautiously today. I get people, you know, rightfully complain about motion sickness when I move my head around too fast. So I'd be streaming in the full cockpit, but I broke the adapter for the cable that I used to connect the GoPro to the PC, and so I need to order a new one of those. I kind of like having the chat right there. That's sort of where my iPad is in the real world when I fly in the Cirrus. Okay, we're down here at the run-up area. Frames have gotten a little better. I'm going to try upping my anti-aliasing 1 notch. And it's at least palatable. Thanks, Dan. I love it. It's a great tool, and I really like it. Up to 1700. Everything's looking green. Oil temperature is good. Oil pressure is good. Voltages are where they should be. Cylinder and engine temperatures are correct. We've got plenty of gas. Fuel flow is good. Anti-ice is good. Oxygen is good. Not that we're going to use it. Let's go left. We got a drop of about 70. We'll go right, magnetos. Just about 100, still within range. Back up, everything else looks good. Quick control check, that goes up. That goes down, that goes up. That goes down. Elevator's working. Rudder's working. Switch over to ground. Put in our departure frequency, which was 128.1. Oops. Lost my chart. We can switch over to our map. Okay, 128.1 on the departure frequency. Okay. Summer months and my flights drop off. That's right, Garth. Any thoughts on the slew of new VR headsets? Just the Rift S, which I'm using, which I like. Okay, let's see if we can get out of here. Salt Lake Tower, 15 Julie Golf, holding short 17 at Kilo, ready to go.
Sears 15 Julia Golf, Salt Lake City Tower, wind 130 at 8, runway 17, clear for takeoff.
17 clear for takeoff, 15 Julie Golf. Okay, mixture full rich, flaps 50, mixture full rich, boost pump is on. Let's go. Verify flaps, flaps are down 50%. I-15 south, 5,500 feet till advised is our departure. Nobody coming on final. Now this is a taxing airport. It's the Mr. X Salt Lake City. It could be that just that and my scenery settings are overwhelming the card, but again, it started fine. It's almost like it hits a memory load or it gets used to a certain amount and then it starts to freak out. Okay, full power. Yeah, we're probably doing 20 frames a second right now. Okay, RPMs are as expected. Engine instruments are in the green. Airspeed is alive. We're on the center line. 50%. We're 49 by 50% down the field. 70 knots rotation. And keep the horizon in the view. Pitch for 86. A6 flaps up. And see if our frame rates start to increase at all as we get further down here. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm hoping that in the final version of 11.35 it fixes this problem for me.
Tower 5 Juliet Golf, radar contacts, contact departure.
Go on departure, 5 Julie Golf. Okay, he wants us to follow I-15, which is right over here.
Tower 157 Juliet Tango, Salt Lake Center.
Wait for him to talk to that guy.
7 Juliet Tango, negative, clear direct Spain, join the Spain 7 arrival.
Yeah, my frames are terrible. Salt Lake departure, Sirius 15 Julie Golf is 4,900 joining I-15 south.
Sears 15 Juliet Golf, Salt Lake departure, roger, altimeter 29901, maintain VFR at 5,500 for now.
Okay, 901, 5,500, 15 Julie Golf. Yeah. So we'll see if it offloads some of that memory and if the performance gets better. I do have it on max, but I also have it set to adjust the objects to keep my frame rate decent.
Golf, maintain VFR at below 6,500.
Yeah, VFR at below 6,500, 15 Julie Golf. Am I seeing the same scenery? Yeah, the scenery doesn't change when I'm VR or not VR. It doesn't matter. The projection doesn't matter in terms of the scenery, if I understand your question correctly. So I-15 is this highway right here. And we're going to follow it southbound. Maybe if I turn off cars. I'm just changing a setting real quick. That might save me a couple of frames. Yeah, that helped. I don't have any pretty cars now, but that's okay. And that's the highway we're following there, I-15. As we go up to 6,500. Yes, this is ortho for XP scenery. That's exactly right. How's the wrist on performance?
5 Julia Golf, remain east of I-15 now. Cleared the Bravo airspace. Resume navigation. Maintain VFR. Appropriate VFR altitudes.
Okay, we'll stay east of I-15. We're cleared for the Bravo and maintain VFR 15 Julia Golf. Okay, so now I can fly around anywhere I want on this side of the highway. And as long as I maintain VFR altitudes, we're good. Now, if we look at our general route, we're going to be heading generally southeast rather than southwest, so we'll want to have odd numbers. So what I basically am going to do is follow the Wasatch Front down, and then we'll kind of fly the VFR just following the terrain to where we're going. We'll go up to 9.5 here to start. With the lower frame rates, I don't know if we're actually going to get there. I feel like we're barely moving. So I-15 is that highway corridor that goes all that way down there. And if you look on the chart, there's actually a VFR flyway here along that side of the highway. These little hills here are about 6,600 feet. So if we fly 9.5, we should be pretty good for terrain clearance there. Keep I-15 off our wings so we don't make that mistake. And we're doing 106 knots over the ground. We got a little bit of a headwind. Once we're done climbing, we should get up to about 140 knots. Agent Aviation, it's good to see you. Everything is very well, thanks. I haven't been in the sim for a long time. We're trying to diagnose the performance problem we've got in terms of it seeming to throttle my graphics card when I get to a certain point, which never has happened for me before, and it's with my 1080 Ti. I think it's an X-plane issue. And it kicked in here. I was getting 40 frames sitting on the ramp for a long time, and then all of a sudden they just cratered down to 20. But we're dealing with it. Salt Lake Valley going by. I grew up right over there. Wasatch Mountains. This is Little Cottonwood Canyon right here. Out this wing. The ortho scenery looks great. That's Little Cottonwood Canyon there, going up to the ski resorts at Alta and Snowbird. That's Lone Peak right there. Twin Peaks right there. And we're coming up to 8, 1,500 to go. Windows updates could be, but I just updated everything, so it's not that. It's something that happens where all of a sudden the GPU goes to 100%, and I really can't figure it out. And it doesn't matter if I'm streaming or not streaming. Like right now, it's at 94%, which is unusual. Make sure I'm not going to crash into anything here as I'm looking out over at my main screen here, which is why you're seeing kind of a weird view. So we'll just keep flying and see how it goes. 8,300, 12 to go. turning off cars helped. But I don't know if it's just not offloading memory or I don't know what's going on. But I've never seen it happen before in the most recent versions of X-Plane 11.3. With 11.2X, I didn't have the problems. Hello from Australia. The new MS flight simulator. Yeah, that gives us something good to talk about. I think it looks great. I can tell you, I don't know. I mean, the big question is, will it do the things we want it to do? Will it play with all the plugins in the cockpit and everything else? Who knows? What I can tell you is that I will. It'll be running on the Xbox, even if it's not running on the Sim PC. I mean, it looks spectacular. Yeah, it's a bottleneck at the GPU for sure. The CPU is its loads are fine. I can look at it right now on Project Lasso. The CPU is running not even 50%. It's a graphics card issue for sure. I don't know if it's 1080 Ti, but for some reason, and it's not on every flight, it just craters, and my settings don't really seem to make much of a difference. Okay, we're coming up to 9,500. That's an appropriate VFR altitude. We're coming over point of the mountain here.
Number 7, Juliet Tango, contact Salt Lake, approach 128.1.
Frames are getting a little better. I can tell you it looks great. One thing we might try doing, using lazy language, is we might try pulling up OVR. Let's force 30, see if that makes it any better.
Salt Lake City, approach November 157.
So that's
Juliet
better.
Tango, 16,000.
With asynchronous space warp, it's smoother for me. The frames are still low, but it doesn't.
Still waiting.
It doesn't.
7 Juliet Tango.
It's not as jaggy for me as it was.
Fine. Advise when you have it. Expect a visual approach. Runway 17.
What I can tell you is that as long as it's over 17 frames a second, it shouldn't be slowing down on PilotEdge.
Juliet Tango. Expect visual approach.
9,500.
Expecting visual
We're there.
7 Juliet Tango.
We'll come down just a little bit. I just want to remind it's hard to set this thing precisely. I just remind myself that 9,500 is my preferred altitude. Bug it. So we can pitch forward now, and we can lean the airplane. Let's run lean a peak. So cruise checklist, fuel pump is off. Well, let's keep it on here. Switch to fullest tank. Fuel pump. Lights are how I want them. Now let's lean the airplane so that we're running lean a peak. Throttle back to 2,500 RPM first. And then let's do a big mixture pull. We should be running about 8 or 9 gallons per 8.9, 8.8. There we go. Save ourselves some gas. We're out of the Bravo airspace now. Am I in the Honda Jet? No, 737. We're in the Cirrus SR20 from V-Flight. And we're liking it. Nice view of the canyon there. airspeed's picking up. So if we're looking at the chart, as long as we're below 10,000, we're out of the Bravo, so we're in good shape. Go direct. Yeah, this implementation of this is a bit weird, but that's okay. Of the perspective system, it's better than nothing, but it's not quite the way it works in the real world. I'd love to be able to just use the normal G1000, but V-Flight's done a good job. Mount Timpanogos right there, going by.
Salt Lake approach 157 Juliet Tango. We have information kilo.
Which fly with Lua plug-in? It is the. Oops. Wrong hotkey. Let me change my maps here real quick while I'm at it. We should be on Denver, I think. Nope. Let's go back to Salt Lake City. Yeah, then we'll go to Salt Lake City sectional. The Fly with Lua plugin is called OVR settings, and it lets me adjust the super sampling in the asynchronous space warp settings. Now if I disable the asynchronous space warps, no, I'm getting 20 frames a second, and it feels like I'm getting 20 frames a second. If I force it, or you can go to auto, but rather than having to use the plug-in tool, you can set those settings this way, and it works quite well.
One 157 Juliet Tango.
Yeah, Timothy, this is X-Plane, and VR works great. Especially with the plugins that are available. I've got my charts. Since I'm a pilot in the real world, I have a Navigraph subscription. This actually connects to my Navigraph account. So for Salt Lake City, for example, I can pull up SIDS and stars, as well as arrival and departure charts. It works well. I like it. Okay, we've got a couple little clouds here. We'll avoid those. This VR headset is the Oculus Rift S. I had the Rift, and I got the Rift S because I wanted to have less of a screen door effect.
Number 5, Julie Golf, you're leaving my airspace now. Your radar services are terminated. Squawk and maintain VFR. Frequency change is approved.
Okay, Squawk and VFR, and it's good to hear your voice, Marcus. Thanks for the help.
Yeah, we'll see you soon.
Okay, end of our coverage. We'll keep listening to center just for the heck of it. Now, the great thing with PilotEdge is that, I don't know if you could hear the signal degradation as we got further away from Salt Lake. One of the cool things about it. For the SR20. No, this V-Flight works really well. It works really well in VR. You can see we've got some traffic here. Let me declutter. But there's traffic. One over there at our altitude. Those are drones in PilotEdge. So one of the nice things about PilotEdge is you do have to keep looking for traffic because it's out there. go to the Salt Lake sectional. And that's Provo Airport down there. Oops, I tapped my button. So we'll keep our eyes open for traffic. These little clouds, I can't tell if they're in front of me or behind me, or if they're 2D or 3D. We're flying VFR, so in the real world we would avoid them. Do I prefer VR or non-VR? For immersion, I prefer VR. For practice, I prefer non-VR, if that makes sense. Now, one way to get where we're going is to fly over the top of these mountains. 9,500 feet isn't necessarily the safest way to do that. So instead, we're going to follow the Wasatch Front down. It'll cost us a few minutes, but not very much. Am I using any weather plugins? Yeah, so I'm using, I was using Ultimate Weather XP, I think it's called, and it sort of sets sky textures and things. Right now I have it turned off from the ability to modify it though, because I'm using this little program called Tweak. VR Tweak or Tweak VR that allows me to change stuff on the fly, including clouds. So I'll actually switch to that now. You'll see here that I can change different, so the different clouds I have installed from Xenviro and other things, I can actually change between them on the fly. So if I don't kind of like the way the clouds are looking, I can actually change them, including default. Those look nice. What are those? That's Active Sky XP natural textures.
Number 7 Julia Tango, descend and maintain 11,000.
11,000, 7 Julia Tango.
That's Active Sky XP textures accurate. Those look kind of cool. I'm flying with Active Sky XP. I'm gonna like those clouds. Those look pretty good. Let's stick with those for a minute. More questions. Let's see here. So yeah, but I'm running Active Sky XP on top of this, and I find it's very realistic in terms of how it renders the weather, including how those clouds, you know, there's more of a cloud deck back there. You can see the shadows over the mountains. It does broken clouds quite well. I like the way it makes stuff look. Now we're doing 130 knots over the ground. That's good. Making a little more progress. Do I do anything FS economy? I don't. I've been tempted, but I've never really taken the time to try it out. Is that Leap Motion? I haven't tried Leap Motion. Well, yeah, the setup is sweet. It's a lot of hassle sometimes. We've got traffic out here 1,700 feet below. Let's see if we can spot it. Not very far out either. I don't see it. But it's no factor. It's way below us. But you know, the one thing about the physical sim is there's an awful lot of stuff that has to go right, and certainly there's a lot of things that can go wrong with it. And it's a blessing when it works great, and it's a hassle when it doesn't. I like how it reads the traffic from PilotEdge and puts it in the sim. That's great. So like I've got a little turbulence here. The airplane's moving around a little bit. I don't know if you can see that. I'm just holding my head perfectly still. You can see how it's sort of moving. I find active Sky XP makes the atmosphere feel a lot more dynamic, which to me is more realistic. In the default X-Plane 11, Cirrus are an add-on. Well, the Cirrus in the X-Plane is the Vision Jet. This is the SR-20, and this is an add-on. It's from V-Flight Air. And given that I fly an SR-20 in the real world, it's quite realistic. Including it has the caps handle, although we won't pull it. But I like it. It's a lot like the real thing. Especially, and most important is it flies on the numbers.
7 Juliet Tango, fly heading 340, vectors to the visual approach, contact Salt Lake City approach on 125.7.
The Cirrus, you don't fly by RPM, you fly by percentages. So it gives you a power percent. See there it says 55% power. Because obviously your engine gets less powerful as you climb. You can change that a little bit by changing the mixture. Oops. Just pop that out. I don't want that popped out. Unpop that. There we go. But it simulates this perspective system pretty well.
Approach, November 157 Juliet Tango 11,000.
157 Juliet Tango, Salt Lake approach, afternoon, altimeter 29901.
I can probably lean the aircraft even a little bit more.
9,007 Juliet Tango.
Now you can see my engine temperatures are still going up.
Turn right, heading 020.
And I actually want to run lean of peak engine temperature. So we can actually get a lower fuel flow than this. We don't need a whole lot of gas. It's 90,500 feet. And the density altitude is 11.3 because of the temperature. So I can lean it even pretty more. So there you can see my engine temperature going down, and you want to be running about 25 degrees lean of peak for best economy, which is kind of in there. So we're sipping gas here at 11,000 density altitude and running the engine nice and cool. Now it can cost us a little power. You can see that we're slowing down a little bit. So it's really about peak engine temperatures and when they can be bad for the motor. And at this density altitude, 11,000 feet, it really doesn't matter. So we could go for best power here and be okay. So I'm going to enrich the mixture a little bit to give ourselves a little more speed. Because at this altitude, you're really flying lean on the lean side of peak engine temperature. You are flying the mixture knob, really. And so we can. So I've been adding fuel here, and I'm not getting any more power. If you noticed, looking at the power percentage. So I'll actually lean it until that power percentage drops. I want max power. 56 is about the best I'm getting. So about 9.2 gallons per
Number 7
hour,
Juliet Tango,
which
the
is sort of
airport
where we
just
were.
12 o'clock and 3 miles.
That's all about managing the engine,
Affirmative,
keeping the
you're
engine
gonna be
healthy,
approaching site.
and not burning
7
gas you
Juliet
don't have
Tango.
to burn.
Number 7 Juliet Tango, continue present heading to cross over at midfield, join left traffic, runway 17.
RLOP, good to see you back. James, yeah, I'm
Clear left
streaming it
traffic,
and it's recording
runway
so you can watch it
17, 7
later.
Juliet Tango.
How do you get more airplanes on X-Plane 11? You just buy them or download them from xplane.org mostly and drag them into the airplane folder. It's not any more complex than that. Okay, we're over on the Denver sectional chart now. Or no, Las Vegas, I believe. Yep. So we're going to fly down here along the Wasatch Front at about 9,500 feet. We're going to follow I-15. And then one option is when we get to Nephi, we can cut across and come down this valley past Gunnison Reservoir. Another option is just keep following I-15 down past Levan, which is what we're going to do, by the way. Past Levan, follow the old highway, down to Gunnison and Centerfield, Aurora, Salina, past I-70, then Sigurd. And then we're going to take this little section down to Kusharam. And then there's Wayne Wonderland right there. Why are we going to do that? Because these mountains here are 11,000 feet. And we're presuming we don't have oxygen.
Number 7 Juliet Tango, contact Salt Lake Tower now, 118.3.
So that is our
Switching to tower,
plan.
7 Juliet Tango.
So that right there is our destination. Now that we're up here cruising at 120 knots ground speed, we should make that happen pretty quickly.
Beach 157 Juliet Tango, Salt Lake Tower, wind 130 at 8, runway 17, clear to land. Sky 27 Lima, contact Cascade, approach 119.6.
Well, it's staying at about the same frames. Doesn't really matter what I do. So, again, I don't know if it's a memory utilization issue or what. I can look at my card statistics. Yeah, hard to know.
Cascade approach, Skyhawk 482.
But it should have returned, and I should have higher frames by now, but I don't for
Sky
whatever reason.
427 Lima, Cascade approach, afternoon, core balance, altimeter 3012, advise any other weather.
3012 and well advised, 27 Lima.
No, I really don't play a lot of games. I pretty much just do simulation, and I do it almost entirely now to support my real-world flight training. So I'm a private pilot, and I'm working on my instrument rating right now. So most of the time I'm using it to, like in this plane, I'm trying to simulate the actual flows and processes that I use in the real service. If I haven't flown in a while, I'll hop in it and do some pattern work to get used to kind of the sight pictures and the speed. Again, it performs very realistically. And, you know, my kids play a lot of video games, and I used to play a lot of video games. So sometimes I hop in with them, and, you know, we have a good time, but not always. Now let's check what our altimeter is here. Nephi is 118.275, so let's dial that in. Get its weather. It's not giving me any weather for Nephi. Might be because in PilotEdge it doesn't have it. Let's see if I can get it from this. What was Nephi? Nephi was U14. Let's look it up. See if it gives me a weather here. Oops. No weather information available. Okay, so it doesn't have AWAS for Nephi. That's good to know that. Not quite sure why, but that's the deal. Again, we probably can be looking for traffic. There's Nephi right there. There's the airport. I've designed a lot of these strips
Cascade approach.
and have loaded them up to the gateway, and they've been incorporated into the game. That includes Nephi. So I believe I designed that airport right there that's in the game. A lot of these airports around Utah, since I'm from Utah, I've spent a lot of time in the sim flying around here, and so I wanted to have a lot of the little strips be accurate. And I think I uploaded Nephi a year or two ago, and it got added to the game. Looks like my work.
Sky 27 Lima is cleared to direct the Corvallis Airport. Descend that pilot's discretion to maintain 5,000.
So, a
Clear
nice view in the
direct
distance. The mountains look great.
Pilot discretion, maintain 5,000, 27 Lima.
7 Julie Tango left.
Well, that takes us off over to
the ramp, underground, point 9er.
Rhode, Mount Pleasant. Different part of Utah that way. We're going to keep going this way, following I-15, which is down there. An eye on the time. .83 miles. Is it telling me that we're still 40 minutes away? Well, I hope not, because I got to be on a phone call in 20 minutes. If I had to be on a phone call in the real world in 20 minutes, where would I land? Would I land at Manti? Salina? Yeah, I'd probably land at Salina. I mean, I could just land at Nephi, but I think we can get to Salina next. 5,100 feet and a 3,800 foot runway, that'll do just fine. We'll stop in Salina. Can't be late. Couple questions. Yeah, I bet in 1989 it was a bit more affordable. I can almost guarantee that. This real world flying is great. You know, maybe you can find somebody at your local strip who doesn't mind taking a passenger up. Go to a Rusty Pilot seminar. You know, get yourself back in the cockpit, at least just for a little bit of fun. Get your hand back on the yoke. My dad stopped flying in 1964, 1966, and I took him up, and it was great. You know, he wasn't ready to land the bird yet or take it off again, but he had a great time flying it, and it all came back to him real fast. Does Actify simulate phone wind, and if not, do you think it's even possible? I'm not quite sure what that is. Gareth, you're talking a language I may not understand. You're watching me on the big screen. Hello, Linda. Linda, my apologies that somebody, you know, would believe that a lovely person like you would find this entertaining. So it's entertaining for me, and I think it's entertaining for him, but I don't know if it's entertaining for you. So you're a good citizen. If you're not a good citizen, you're a good spouse. Oh, I see what you go. The mountain downwind drafts. Yeah, it's supposed to simulate. First of all, X-Plane typically does a pretty good job of simulating updrafts and downdrafts around terrain. I know that I don't know if it can simulate rotors or gravity waves as well, or if at all. But I know that you have to be concerned with downdrafts and updrafts when you're flying over the terrain. Oh, too many bills. Yeah, I understand. But never stop thinking you can get back in the cockpit, at least for fun. Okay, one option is to go to Manti. How much time do I have? 15 minutes? What's Manti? Manti is 41U. Eight minutes to Manti. Let's just double check. It's 5,000 foot Manti. Okay, we'll land at Manti. 8,500 feet. That ridge there is 8,000. I can probably right down here cut across. They have an AWAS 120.025. Let's see if we can pick that up. Oops. Nope. Not sure why. I think the ATIS system, I think the PilotEdge system only simulates certain ATIS frequencies. So we're going to call an audible here. I don't have the time to make it all the way to where I want to go before I have to do something in the real world. And I try to make the same decisions that I would make in the real world. We'd be doing a south landing there. Let's see, what do we have? We've got 41U. This looks like a nice little cut right down here we can go across. Almost 6 a.m. Saturday morning. Yeah, you should get some sleep or go to work. Back up to 9,500 feet, and let's pull up the information we need on 41U. Oh, rats. Still getting used to this thing sometimes. What the heck? Am I missing something? 41U. It's not pulling it up. .41U. Okay, well, I'll look it up on ForeFlight real quick. And ForeFlight says runway 0321. We're going to meet our closest is Delta 160. So at Manti, we're going to be landing 21. Okay. So let's switch over to the CTAF, which is 122.8. And the nearest altimeter at Manti was was 3004. Okay, and let's see, it's 5,500 feet, so pattern altitude is going to be 6,500 feet. We're going to be landing on what did I say, 2-1, with a little bit of a crosswind. Yep, runway 2-1, we're going to have a little bit of a crosswind. Well, let's presume that we've got a sick passenger we have to get down. Hello, Rondi, good to see you. Right, looks like it's standard traffic. So we'll cross midfield, do a teardrop entry, then land on 2-1. We'll cross midfield at about 7,000 feet. So once we're over this mountain here, we'll drop down. I can tell you that the sky looks great. I love how the clouds stayed behind us. It's rendering that cloud patch really well. Active Sky XP is doing a great job. Haze layer looks great. And we're looking for our airport. We're 10 miles, so we'll make our first call. And we're still on PilotEdge, so we're making calls like we would in the real world. Let's make sure we're on the right frequency, 122.8 for the CTAF. We are. Manti from traffic, Cirrus 15 Julia Golf, 9,910 miles northwest. We're going to be crossing midfield for a left teardrop entry into 2-3 Manti. Okay, looking for the airport. Don't quite see it. I hope it's in the game. It'd be a shame if there was no airport over here. Okay, we can start our descent checklist. We'll keep the mixture where it is. Stage our power back to 50%. Airport has to be right in there. Just like the real world, sometimes airports are hard to see. Now, I don't have any guarantee that somebody's made this airport for X-Plane, so we might be surprised when we get there. Okay, let's pull it all the way back. We're going to do a descent. In fact, if we're going down and we don't want to speed up, we can actually throttle almost all the way back. Picture rich. Still not seeing the X-Plane airport here. It's right by the town. It should be right. Oh, there it is. Yeah, it's not in the game. Doesn't look like it. Looks like that's the airport right there. And that somebody hasn't built it for X-Plane yet. Well, that gives me a project. Where are we now? We're 5 miles. Manti traffic, Cirrus 15 Julia Golf is 5 miles northwest, 9,000. Across midfield, 8,000, and then make left teardrop entry for 2-3 Manti. I've not tried the Oculus 5 pass-through. I don't even know what that is. But I'd like to try it. So I don't have a real airport. That's it, I think. It's hard to tell. The towns. That's Ephraim. That's the town. Oh, wait. There's the airport. It's right there. That's got to be it. Okay, we do have an airport, so that's good news. We've got terrain on the other side of the airport, so we need to be careful of that. We don't have left or right, we don't have a non-standard traffic. So that's good news. There's our airport. Where are we now? 7,500 feet. Okay, well, again, we're going to cross over at 7,000. Then do left teardrop for 2-3. I can hear things rattling in the airplane. It's pretty cool. Anti-traffic Cirrus 15 Julia Golf, 2 miles southwest or northwest. We're going to be crossing midfield 7,000. Left traffic, teardrop into 2-3 Manti. Okay, we'll power up to 50%, which is our approach power. Mixture, let's continue full rich. Although for mountain flying, we would lean the mixture to have more power. About that. Okay, good. I'm glad we've got an airport. Okay, landing light on. Pump. Fuels tank. Make sure stage the power. We'll be ready with flaps in a second. Let's bug ourselves to 2-3. Metro traffic, Cirrus 14 Papa Golf, or 15 Julia Golf, right over the top at 7,000. We're going to be making left teardrop into 2-3 Manti. Okay, we're not going to wait a whole lot of time to make this teardrop entry because we have terrain in front of us. In fact, we might just sort of ease our way down here and enter on the downwind on this side. I'll have to see what the Oculus 5 pass-through is. I'm not quite sure what that is. I can tell you there's an updraft right here. Okay, we'll make this turn. Anti-traffic Cirrus 15 Julia Golf is going to be entering on the downwind for 2-3 left traffic, Manti. No turns over 30 degrees in the pattern. Okay. Down to 6,500 feet. A little close, that's okay. It's bumpy. I think I got a big crosswind. Okay, back to 25% power. Then 119. 6,500 feet, pattern altitude, first notch flaps. Start driving her downhill. Yeah, I've got a big wind here. 12 knot crosswind from this side. So we can expect this turn to go faster than I would expect. Make our turn. Anti-traffic 15 Julia Golf, turning left base 2-3 Manti. And it's going to blow us fast, so we're going to turn just like we're turning to the numbers here. Put in our next notch. Hard turn, less than 30 degrees. There we go. That crosswind is working on us pretty good. 500 feet. We're going to crab our way down. High, come out of throttle a little bit. Pretty good crosswind. You look at that windsock. Walk her out. Kick her around. She wants to float. A little long, but with that crosswind, I'll take it. Now what happens with X-Plane is until the steering is fixed, it, yeah, it doesn't steer well on the ground in a crosswind, but we'll manage. Okay, little crosswind landing there, and we're on the ground in Manti, and now I can go get on my phone call. So I'm going to shut it down right here. Thanks everybody for watching. And I'll see you on the next stream. Thanks.